The fog of 1964 does not just sit in the air, it clings to your skin, a thick mixture of North Sea dampness and the acrid soot of 1,000 coal fires. You stand before the towering iron gates of the primary school, a Victorian monolith of soot-stained brick that has seen 2 world wars and shows no mercy to the late. Your leather satchel, a stiff, tan rectangle of oxhide, feels like a lead weight against your hip, containing the tools of your survival, a wooden ruler, a pencil case, and the crushing expectation of your parents. Your blazer is a masterpiece of discomfort, heavy, coarse wool that scrapes against the back of your neck until the skin is raw and red. It is a uniform designed not for comfort, but for conformity. You look up at the clock tower, its hands moving with a mechanical, heartless precision. There is no such thing as running a few minutes late in this world. Punctuality is the first lesson of the Empire, and the headmaster, standing like a dark sentinel at the entrance with his silver pocket watch, is its judge. Every step you take on the frost-slicked stone is a calculation of risk, your breath blooming in white clouds before you as you realize that the distance between those gates and your desk is the shortest yet most terrifying walk of your young life. The classroom is a cavern of echoes, smelling of a peculiar, suffocating blend, lavender floor wax, the damp wool of 30 other children, and the dry, tickling scent of chalk dust that hangs in the shafts of morning light. You slide into your assigned seat, a heavy oak desk scarred with the initials of boys who are now grown men, perhaps even fathers. The wood is hard and unforgiving, forcing your spine into a rigid line. In the top right corner sits the inkwell, a small white ceramic pot filled with a liquid so dark and permanent it feels like a physical threat. In 1964, the biro is a revolution happening in the world outside, but here the ballpoint is still regarded with deep suspicion. Teachers see it as a cheap, Americanized shortcut that ruins the discipline of a proper hand. You pick up your dip pen, the wooden shaft worn smooth by weeks of white-knuckled gripping. Your task is to transform this liquid chaos into elegant, slanted letters. You dip the metal nib, watching the blue-black ink cling to the steel through sheer surface tension. The tension is in your chest, too. You know that if you take too much, a blot will fall, a heavy, spreading star of ink that no rubber can touch. In this era, your handwriting is not just a skill, it is a character assessment. A messy page is seen as a sign of a messy mind, and as the teacher begins the slow, rhythmic dictation, you realize that every stroke of your pen is a tiny, desperate struggle to prove you belong among the respectable. The mid-morning bell rings, but it isn't an invitation to the playground, it is a summons to the crate. You watch as 2 of the older boys haul the heavy, rattling wooden container into the center of the room, the sound of glass against glass echoing like a warning. This is the daily ritual of the 1/3 pint, a precise measurement of state-mandated health dictated by the School Milk Act of 1946. You reach for your bottle, and your heart sinks. It is lukewarm, having sat in a sunlit corridor for 2 hours. The glass is no longer cold, but retains a dull, tepid heat. This was the government's grand experiment in national survival, a desperate post-war effort to build the bones of the empire and erase skeletal ghosts of rickets and malnutrition. You look at the silver foil cap, smooth and unblemished, and press your thumb into the center until it gives way with a sharp, metallic pop. Immediately, a heavy, cloying dairy scent rises, a smell so thick it feels like a physical presence in the back of your throat. There is no sugar, no chocolate, no choice. You tilt the bottle back, the rich, slightly turned liquid coating your tongue as you swallow with a grimace. You do not stop, because you cannot. The teacher stands at the front of the class, her gaze a silent, unyielding command, ensuring that every drop of the government's liquid gold is consumed. As the empty bottle clinks back into the crate, leaving a sticky white ring on the glass, you realize that for a child in 1964, nutrition isn't a gift, it is a duty you are forced to swallow. The silence of the examination hall is not empty, it is a heavy, suffocating weight that presses against your eardrums. You are 11 years old, and before you lies a single stapled booklet that will dictate the trajectory of your entire life, the 11 Plus. In 1964, the British education system is a brutal fork in the road, divided by the tripartite system. This paper is the gatekeeper. To pass is to earn a place at the grammar school, a world of blazers, Latin, and the golden ticket to university. To fail is to be relegated to the secondary modern, a path carved toward the factory floor or manual trade, where the horizons are lower and the expectations even less. You look at the clock on the wall, its large circular face staring back at you with a mechanical indifference. Each tock is the sound of a door closing. Your palms are slick with a cold sweat that makes the wooden pencil feel like it's trying to squirm out of your hand. You can hear the frantic, rhythmic scratching of dozens of other nibs against paper, a desperate chorus of children trying to prove their worth to a government algorithm. You think of your father, his hands calloused from the shipyard, and the way he looked at you this morning, a mixture of pride and a terrifying unspoken hope that you might escape the life he has led. The air in the room is thick with the scent of cheap recycled paper and the ozone of collective anxiety. You read the first question, and the letters seem to dance and blur. You realize that in this moment you are no longer a child with dreams or hobbies. You are a number, a result, a tiny cog in a social machine that decides before you've even hit puberty exactly how much the world is willing to offer you. The summons to the headmaster's office is not a walk, it is a funeral procession through a corridor that has suddenly grown miles long. In 1964, the special services of the school are not counselling or support, but the cold, calculated application of the Malacca cane. You stand outside the heavy mahogany door, the air here smelling of stale pipe tobacco and the wax of expensive furniture, a scent of authority that feels suffocating. You are a victim of the era's unwavering belief in loco parentis, a legal doctrine that gives the school the same power as a parent to inflict moderate chastisement. You knock, the sound muffled by the thickness of the wood, and a voice like grinding gravel tells you to enter. The office is a shrine to the British Empire, a portrait of the Queen, rows of leather-bound registers, and a window that looks out onto a world that feels light years away. He does not look up from his desk immediately. He lets the silence do the heavy lifting, the only sound the slow, deliberate tick of a grandfather clock. Then his hand moves toward the shelf. He retrieves the cane, a slender, yellowish length of rattan that has been soaked in water to make it more flexible, more resonant. You see the light catch its polished surface as he tests its weight. He doesn't shout. He speaks in a low, terrifyingly calm whisper, hands out. You extend your palm, feeling the cold air hit the thin skin of your wrist. Your fingers tremble, a physical betrayal of your attempt at stoicism. You look at the floor, focusing on a single scuff mark on the rug as you hear the whistle of the wood cutting through the air. The impact is a white-hot explosion of heat that seems to travel from your fingertips directly to your heart. It is a sharp, stinging shame that lingers long after the physical pain numbs into a dull throb.
In this room, you were taught the most brutal lesson of 1964, that truer than any textbook was the law of the rod, and that your dignity was a luxury the state could revoke at any moment. The heavy double doors fly open, and the silence of the corridor is instantly obliterated by a wall of sound, a cacophony of hundreds of leather soles hitting concrete, and the raw, uninhibited shrieks of children released from their cages. You step out onto the playground, but there are no rubber safety mats or soft wood chips here. There is only a vast, unforgiving expanse of grey asphalt and soot-stained brick walls. The air is sharp and tastes of cold iron. In 1964, the playground is not a place of supervised play. It is a self-governing arena where the only law is the game. Someone bellows the call, British Bulldog, and the space transforms. You find yourself at one end of the yard, chest heaving, looking across a no-man's land at a line of older, larger boys waiting to intercept you.
This game is a rite of passage, a brutal combination of rugby and tag that the teachers pointedly ignore as long as no bones are visibly broken. You bolt. The wind whistles past your ears, and you can hear the frantic thud of footsteps closing in behind you. You dodge a reaching hand, your blazer flapping wildly, but then a shoulder connects with yours. You lose your footing, and the world tilts. Your knee hits the concrete with a sickening, hot scrape, the friction tearing through your grey school trousers and into the skin. You roll, gasping, the taste of grit and salt in your mouth. You look down at the strawberry, a raw, weeping patch of red on your knee, but there is no time for tears. To cry is to invite the ridicule of the entire yard. You scramble back up, the sting of the injury becoming a pulsing, rhythmic reminder of your survival. In this chaotic, violent freedom, you realize that the playground was designed to teach you what the classroom couldn't: how to take a hit, how to stand back up, and how to find your own strength in a world that doesn't care if you've fallen. The final iron clang of the bell resonates through the brickwork, a heavy, mournful sound that signals the end of your vigil. You walk back through the gates, your legs feeling heavy and your knee throbbing with every step. The evening fog has begun to roll in, thick and pea-soupy, smelling of domestic coal fires and the damp metallic scent of the nearby railway. In 1964, the Clean Air Act is still a work in progress, and the world feels perpetually cloaked in a grey industrial shroud. You look down at your hand. The stubborn blue ink stain on your index finger is still there, a small dark badge of the day's struggle that no amount of scrubbing will remove. You touch the cold, rough stone of the school wall once last, feeling the history etched into its soot-covered surface. You blink, and the cold air seems to thin. The heavy, itchy weight of the wool blazer evaporates, replaced by the light, synthetic fabric of your modern clothes. The smell of coal smoke vanishes, superseded by the sterile, neutral scent of an air-conditioned room. You are no longer clutching a leather satchel strap. Your fingers are wrapped around the sleek, cold glass of a smartphone. The suffocating, disciplined silence of 1964 is gone, replaced by the relentless high-frequency hum of the digital age. You stand in the present, but the ghost of that child still lingers in your muscle memory.
You find yourself wondering if we have traded the bruises and the ink stains for a different kind of weight, one that isn't carried in a satchel, but in the frantic, unceasing noise of a world that has forgotten how to sit still in the silence of a classroom. History is not merely a record of dates or the names of kings. It is the silent architecture of who you are, built from the grit of every concrete playground and the stain of every spilled inkwell.
We look back at the grey skies of 1964 and the tepid milk and see only the hardship, yet we often overlook the quiet resilience that was forged in those drafty, disciplined corridors. Those days taught you that a mistake was something you had to live with, not something you could simply delete with a keystroke, and that a clean page was a privilege earned through focus and self-control. As you step back into the neon hum of the present, carry that inner stillness with you.
The red brick schools may be modernizing, and the rattan canes may be locked away in museums, but the strength you found when you stood up from a fall or faced a daunting exam is yours to keep forever. Our lives are not constructed from the gadgets we own, but from the small, steady rituals of those who came before us. The people who understood that a bit of order is the only thing that keeps the chaos of the world at bay. Thank you for walking through these memories with me today. If you have a story from your own school days, perhaps a memory of a teacher who commanded the room with a single look, the struggle of writing with a leaky pen, or the specific smell of a rainy day in the gymnasium, please share it in the comments below. Your memories are the ink that prevents this history from fading into the mist. I have a satchel to pack and a world of stories yet to uncover. I'll see you in the next one.